I first met Gary Stevenson 3 years ago in 2022. At the time, he was a former Citibank trader who was passionate about asset and income inequality. He said things I agreed with, but in a new kind of way, insisting that without massive change, working people would only get poorer forever. All of that informed the first interview I did with him that year. It got more than 1 million views, even though we did it before he'd even finished writing his book, let alone published it. Its title? The Plan is to Make You Permanently Poorer. Stevenson published his first book, The Trading Game, A Confession, with Penguin in hardback in May 2024. At that point, his YouTube channel had around 200,000 subscribers. Fast forward to today, less than a year later, and the paperback edition is out. What's more, it's been top of the Sunday Times bestseller list for 6 weeks straight. Been on the tube lately? If you have, then I'm guessing you've probably seen Gary Stevenson basically everywhere. Then there's the fact his YouTube channel has now passed 1 million subscribers. It's gone from 250,000 to 1 million in under a year. But the really crazy thing is that subscriber rate is accelerating. He's added over 300,000 subscribers in the last month alone. In other words, he's adding at least 10,000 subscribers every day. Some days it's 20,000. Meanwhile, on his Instagram account, Stevenson's added 190,000 followers in the last month. So he's a big deal in print media. He's big on his own YouTube channel and big on his own social platforms. He's also pretty big elsewhere too, it has to be said. Here's a short selection of Stevenson's greatest hits over the past few months.
We've watched the biggest ever increase in millionaire and billionaire wealth in the history of this planet, immediately followed by a collapse in living standards of the middle class, a complete collapse in the ability of ordinary people to own assets, and nobody's drawing the connection. And unless the general public, your average British man or woman on the street, understands we need to deal with inequality to protect our living standards, to protect our homes, to protect our children, it will be impossible. The reason those predictions were good is because it's the same reason I've got a track record of making correct economic predictions for 15 years. Because I'm good at this. If you don't make money, it's because you didn't hustle hard enough. You need to work harder. We send that message to young men in a society which makes it increasingly extremely difficult, bordering on impossible, to make money.
I've no idea how many languages Gary's book is being translated into right now, but speaking personally, in just the last week, I've had publishers from Poland, Germany, and Sweden get in touch to talk to him. They say, how do I get in contact with Gary Stevenson? This is a major vibe shift. It's a moment where a guy talking about asset inequality is in W.H. Smith's at Waterloo. He's in the 3 for 2 section at airports and service stations. That is not normal. I've been doing this for 15 years. I've never seen it before. Dan, it's a weird thing to say, but these numbers, for me anyway, are reminiscent of Andrew Tate right at the start. Now, I'm not suggesting Gary Stevenson is a left-wing Andrew Tate. I'm not saying that for one moment. I don't think we want that, for starters. But somebody who's gaining 300,000 YouTube subscribers in 1 month, who's a bestseller for 6 weeks, top of the charts. You can find them on the bookshelves in Tesco. This says something quite significant about the moment we're in, doesn't it?
Oh, I massively agree. And Gary's a great bloke. I'm so happy he's having all this, that he's getting all this amazing coverage. And I mean, I've used him a lot in my university courses, sort of helping to sort of demystify economics. It's just absolutely fantastic that you've got a normal, working class guy who's able to sort of very coherently and succinctly explain complicated economic problems and explain to people why things are going wrong and why living standards are tanking. And he's talking about, wealth inequality. I think, there's a massive, massive appetite for this stuff. Obviously there's a political void where, there should be a new left movement sort of filling it. And I think that the fact that people are going for Gary's work is evidence that people are sort of people are desperate for change, and they're desperate for progressive, what I would say, socialist answers, and Gary's providing them. So long may it continue.
Yeah, I've had a few conversations with right-wingers about Gary Stevenson, and I think they're coping really hard. They'll say, well, Joseph Stiglitz sells books as well. Naomi Klein sells books. They sold books. This is different. This is a cultural figure. And, I would think of somebody like, I'm not saying Gary's at that level yet, Jordan Peterson, right? Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate. Now, bear with me a moment. I'm not insulting Gary. What those people do is they offer a very distinctive, clear, easy to understand story about why things are going wrong in your life. Very simple. Gary does the same thing. Why are you in your overdraft? Why can't you get on the housing ladder? Why is your local community looking worse every year? Why is your high street dying? And I think in that respect, Gary is, a similar cultural figure to some of the people I've just mentioned. And like I say, that's new. Not happened before. And I think it's a massive, massive development worth celebrating.